I think the heart of regenerative ag is like getting to the root of the problem, you know, not just throwing Band-Aids, like different sprays. I mean, they make organic sprays for things, but I'm not interested in treating my plants. I want to know why they're just like my own health. I want to know why is it happening in the first place. This is why I'm like a farmer, so that I get to eat like the best produce. I get so frustrated at the grocery store because like half the time I buy things and they taste like crap or they're like going bad. And I mean, things that, you know, it's like weeks or who knows how long before since they picked it to like when we were eating it versus like I picked this today.
Yeah.
Like it's like so fresh.
Our potential, it's exponential.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Abundant Souls podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Kristin with Soul of the Soil. Thank you for coming. Hey. Kristin's awesome. She has a business just like ours where you help people grow food.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so tell people you started in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, tell us about your awesome business, like your philosophy and how you got into it.
Yeah, so I've been studying growing food. I went to college for organic crop production, trying to do farming and stuff. And
Where at?
I worked mostly in Gainesville, like, because I went to UF. So most of my farm experience is up there. And then I worked in Maine for like a brief minute.
Crop production, you said?
Yeah.
Cool. What'd you do up in Maine?
I was actually on a goat dairy, but that was just like for a couple of months. And then I moved to Seattle, kind of like, when you move to the big city, it's kind of hard to like find a farm. So I went into, landscaping there.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of helped me out like for the future. We were doing mostly like installs, like they did a lot of like beautiful rock, like stone installations, and like, oh my God, it was amazing. And I was in charge of like doing the plants and also just like moving gravel.
Gosh,
yeah.
Hardscaping.
Yeah, exactly. Hardscaping. Thank you. And then I came back to Florida and I was working on Paradise Farm for a little bit, but that was like a really far drive. And out of nowhere, I just got this offer to work, do the edible landscaping on this like amazing private farm. So
amazing.
I've been doing that
in
ever
Jupiter,
since.
right?
Yeah, in Jupiter.
Cool.
And so I started my business to work there, and then was doing it by myself for a while. And now I have a few of my friends. Basically, I just recruited all my friends who have other gardening businesses, and I like it though. So we're all our
That's
own.
so true. They're all like your squadron.
Yeah, like because
helpers.
There's not that many people who have the skills these days to be like gardeners, like or the desire, especially in South Florida.
So
like,
true, Kristin. I have this. By the way, guys, that's true because it's a skill.
Yeah,
Farming's a skill.
It's a serious skill. I mean, and I learned that more. I mean, you know, sometimes after you've been in for so long, you kind of like take your skill set for granted, and then you try and like teach other people, or you like see the work that other people do, and you realize like, dang, I really got to do more training, like with my staff.
Yo, training is a thing.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Like, how do we do it? How does Kristin do it properly? So that's no, but like that's what we're here to talk about today, right? Like,
yeah.
I want our audience to see, because you deal with these big trees. Like you guys were pruning trees today, right? Huge mangoes and jackfruits.
Yeah. So
real experience.
When I got on the property, it was like pretty neglected, I would say. Like they had like a regular ornamental landscaping team, like taking care of all of their fruit trees. And like you said, they're like massive, mature fruit trees, most of them. So they hadn't been properly pruned or maintained in a long time. So I'm on year 3 on the property. So third season of like we're finally like kind of getting them under control and like getting them, like we brought them all down to like the 12 to 15 feet, which if people in the audience don't know, you know, that's kind of to help to make it easier to harvest the fruit, but also for like hurricanes, like so that they're less likely to blow over. And yeah, they're looking really good now.
Wow. So they're all down to 12 to 15 feet.
I would say the jackfruit are probably still a little bit bigger because we took off literally like 5 feet last year, and like there was still so much, and like this year we'll bring them down like a few more feet because
Wow.
you know I got jackfruit like 15 feet off the ground, like, and it's not easy to harvest a jackfruit like that's 15 feet off the ground, like.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I also
they
like
make pulley systems for them for that reason.
yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
But I've got it just happened like last week, and I've had it happen before where you have these like thin branches high up that they just break in a windstorm because they have this massive fruit on them, and then they just can't like take the weight. And so the philosophy with jackfruit is just like keep them tight so that fruit is all concentrated on strong like inner branches, and you don't have that fruit loss, like. So I mean I hopefully the owners will use it as like a green jackfruit or something. At least, you know, they're good like that. You can still use them when they're young.
When the branch breaks.
Yeah, when the branch breaks, like. But I'm sure they would have preferred if it was sweet, like. So.
They probably have some good varieties, right?
I would hope so. You know, I mean, they're good. I just don't know what the names of any of the varieties because everything was planted like when I got there.
Oh,
so
we gotta figure that out.
Yeah, we gotta figure that out for sure.
Cool.
I've been decoding. I've gotten a lot of. I figured out a lot of the trees like over time, but the jackfruit I still don't really know because for one, I don't. They take most of them. Like they're actually super generous. Share a lot of fruit with us.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is cool. I'm pretty lucky because I had another very wealthy client that I actually stopped working for them because they're just like draining my soul with their like just so ungrateful. And I don't know, you know, money is like one thing, but if someone doesn't like actually, I put so much of my own soul into like every property that I work on. So if the owner isn't like interested, or it's just like you know, a side thing for them, like it's just I just can't like work in that environment. So yeah,
I get it. Yeah, it's your life force. It's our work.
Yeah, I was
totally.
like, it was literally draining my life force. Like I lost like so much weight when I was working there. It was so weird. It was bizarre.
Way.
I'm like so much healthier like now. Like
really,
yeah. But I was like working there like I would do like sometimes like 10-hour days, like, and like barely eat anything because it's like so hot out, and like then have to, because I live in Broward, so people don't know, you know, Jupiter and Broward are like I live in Cooper City and Broward, so that's like about it's an hour 15 like drive, so, and that's at like 6:30 in the morning, so when you go home it's a little bit longer.
Wow.
So
and you work up here in Jupe at these farms.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's commitment.
Well, the one I'm only on there like 2 days a week now.
Got it.
So
cool.
Yeah, that I cut down. I was going like really hard when I first started because it was my first big properties, and I was like also super fresh and like super motivated, and I honestly burned myself out like pretty seriously.
Wow.
And but I said I quit the one property and I kept this one because they were like, just their attitude was like so much better, and I felt like I could continue on. And
so what are you doing differently now? You said you got burnt out, which happens as a farmer. I could relate.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
Definitely more self-care. I mean, I've been like going through a lot of like personal growth, like just addressing you know, childhood trauma and different things like that, like taking better care of my body, like definitely dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety that like even just like acknowledging that I had stress and anxiety, like because that for a very very long time, like, and my work ethic of just like balls to the wall, just like have to get it done, like screw my like body and my physical like self, like I'll sacrifice that to like, I mean, it was funny, like I was working with the landscaping crew there, and like I was like going harder than all the like men, and like they like I was kind of cool because I got like a little bit of a reputation from their company like as being like this like badass, but I'd rather be healthy than like be seen as a badass, honestly, at this point. So,
facts. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's self-care. That's a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do it, man. You're out here. You really were like the hardest core person on that team in Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that was, so those landscapers, I was working with they were bringing in the ornamental landscape crew to help me on these properties in Jupiter because I was by myself. So for the larger.
When you started Soul of the Soil.
Right. When I first
Got
started, before I was able to like hire on or subcontract my like friends basically.
When it was just you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which if you want, we can talk about like that philosophy a little bit. So
let's do it. Yeah.
I
love the name of your business.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, I loved it from the start, and it like really just like came to me like, and I was like, this is it. And I've been connecting with the name like just deeper and deeper. Like, I mean, talking about, becoming like in my self-care, like becoming more spiritual and just thinking about like literally the soul of the soil. Like, I mean, I think of, you putting your heart and soul into the soil, like the microbes in the soil, like the life in the soil, like the love in the soil, like, and like literally like getting down to like the soul of Mother Earth, like as a being, like, so.
Because it is one organism.
Right. So I don't know. I was very like against religion and spirituality, and I like totally thought the two like had to go together, like because I was raised pretty Christian. I went to like a Christian elementary school, and when I got out of that, I was just like screw religion, screw God, like whatever, like, and it's
stupid. Science is the way.
Yeah, science is the way. Like everything else is bullshit. Like, and it's been super healing for me to like come back to like find my own like spirituality for sure. So
yeah, we were just talking about it briefly before this. Which, by the way, all the gold is right before the podcast and after. But this is good. This is really good too. But that's what you were saying. You were like, man, like when I was a kid, I thought it was all bullcrap,
Yeah.
And like all of it's real.
Right. No, 100%. Because I mean, it's just I'm still like amazed in a way, like I'm still coming to terms like, wow, like this really, but I feel like that spirit like connects with me like every day, like in my life, like
wow.
Just like little signs and things, like in the way that things will like play out. I'm like, it's like a lot easier to see like, oh, like this was a lesson, like it also it makes life a lot better because you can kind of step back and see the purpose instead of like getting so upset and like I'm stuck on like one thing and like the emotions that come with that. Like you can you can say, oh, okay, this was put here for me to learn, like I understand what I was to learn from this, and now I'm moving on to like the next thing. So that
was a teacher.
Yeah.
Like it's okay.
Yeah, like that like that stressful event I was telling you about yesterday, like we dealt with it. My friend was inflaming the situation. There was some like heated words being exchanged, and I kind of just like I was like, I'm not gonna engage with that. I like reached out to the person through text message separately. It was like very calm and like in a loving way, like diffuse the situation. And then as soon as like the situation was diffused, I found like this beautiful blue jay feather, and I just like felt like such a sign, like so those are like the little things that when you start like tuning into them, if it was just one thing, you would be like, oh no, that's like, maybe that was just like a coincidence. But when it's like so many things, that's what really like turned me towards like spirituality, because there was like so many strange coincidences happening to me that I was really like seeking for an answer. Like I was like, this is just too weird. Like there's something going on that's deeper. Like
what? Interesting.
Yeah. Like
so like what?
Like what coincidences?
Yeah. Like where you were like, whoa, this is like bigger than just me.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you, I guess, the story of how I got onto like this property as like for one. So
great. I was curious too when you said it.
So I was, when I first got down here, it was like COVID. Like I was like going crazy because back up even more, honestly. So
You're not even here. We're not here on this earth. No.
yeah, right. No, I met my husband like I came back to Florida for Christmas. Met my husband like super randomly. Also, it was weird because my now husband, which we just got married like a couple months ago. So
congrats.
it was such a freak incident of meeting him. And the weirdest thing was that he was friends with like so many of my good friends, and I had never met him, but it felt like we connected like at like the perfect moment. And so we ended up, I swear to God, I was living in Seattle. I was like, I'm never going back to Florida. I had like so much like trauma from like Florida and just like South Florida. And if you've grown up here, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, enough said.
And I was like, I'm done. But then like, that's like the only thing that could have brought me back here. And so that brought me back here. I was still, when I came back at first, I was like kind of like still mentally freaking out. And it's also COVID. So it's like everyone's mentally freaking out.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it was a weird time. But so I was looking for work on Craigslist. I'm doing like remodeling and stuff because I was also had done some remodeling work in Seattle just to like get by and try and learn some skills. And then I'm on Craigslist and I see an ad for an urban farm hand, and I was like, all right, that's me. It only offered, it was like $12 an hour, and I was like, whatever, I'll take it. Like, so I started working for this guy at the American Express had like a little food forest at their property in
I've heard of
Sunrise.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know someone who worked on that a while ago.
Yeah. I don't know what exactly happened. I don't know if they're even like keeping up with it. I like
That's what it was for though, the ad?
Yeah.
The 12 times.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So I ended up there was like me and like two other like younger guys that like responded. The guy had us all working. Pretty quickly he figured out like, okay, this girl like knows what she's doing. So he had me start managing that property for him. And then he got offered the property in Jupiter. But he was like, I don't know. He basically he like dropped the ball on that property, and I won't even go into it. Like, but I tried to like work with him and like make it happen, and then he ended up, like I said, he totally dropped the ball, and their manager at the property just like contacted me directly and was like, we can't like get this guy to like to do anything, like will you just come work for us? And I was like, well, I'm not gonna let this opportunity like pass me by. So
that's how it happened.
That's how it happened.
Amazing.
And like
this American Express kid dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
opportunity, man. You gotta be ready for it.
Right. I mean, I was like,
that's amazing.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. It was the biggest thing that I had ever. I mean, I was pretty nervous to take on something so large, but they were literally, like I said, the fruit trees were pretty neglected, so I knew there was nowhere to go but up, so that gave me the confidence to like jump in. And I've learned so much like working on that property, like because it made me deep dive. I mean, I knew a lot like from school and stuff, but at the same time, that's still just like the very like conventional like UF like so mentality true. and
it's so surface. You're right.
So surface, like. And
dude, I love how you're saying that, because you're saying you got this job and you knew stuff, but like now it's like, you know, I mean, looking back, it's like, man, now you're really learning in the field, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've learned so much more. I mean, I wish there had been more hands-on, like, in our program. There was hands-on, but I felt like they were trying to, like, really direct us towards more of, like, being a certifying agent for, like, the organic program than actually being a farmer. Like,
really?
That's just the vibe that I got. And
recruiting a bunch of certified organic people instead of producers.
Yeah. Like,
that's weird.
I don't know. It's UF, man. They're not really, I mean, maybe like our individual professors were interested in like small farmers, but like that's not UF's like gig, you know? So I don't know. Probably someone out there is listening and like being like, that's not true, but that's how I saw it when I was there, in my experience. So anyway, where was I going?
Yeah, well, UF anyways, yeah. I'm sure UF and like the agriculture program, I'm sure all of it started with like great intentions.
Right. Yeah.
It probably just got a little weird. Like now what they're doing is like, you know what I mean? Like what are they even doing? Like, commercial farmers. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we all know, I mean, Monsanto was donating like millions of dollars to our like our department, like our department head. Because I ran the Organic Sustainable Agriculture Club while I was there, and we actually had the department head come and like talk to us about GMOs. Like I didn't really know much about GMOs, like so I was like, I'm always a person who likes to like weigh both sides of the issue, and so like he came and like did a lecture for us on how like great GMOs are and how you can drink glyphosate because it's like so safe, and like
what?
Yes, dude, he told us that we could.
Wait,
like
the Department of Ag guy?
This is the old head of the horticulture department there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The old head in the horticulture
Yeah,
department.
which now, interestingly enough, they're actually completely eliminating the horticulture department because it's all being collected under the plant science like heading. Which it was weird that they had both of those, but it's like, dang, that's like the end of an era, man. Like
No more horticulture.
no,
department.
horticulture will no longer be a
Really?
major like at UF.
Probably because they ruined it themselves, telling us to drink glyphosate, dude. No one listened to them anymore.
Yeah.
They said, all right, we're done with this guy.
Yeah, I mean the professors will be like taken into the plant science like department. I guess they're just trying to like streamline things, but yeah, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
like the sound of being having a horticulture major. Like it's I don't know, maybe it's part of the culture like thing, you know, the culture of like being like a plant steward versus just plant science, like very sterile, you know.
Yeah, there's something
So-
to it. It's better.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to say I'm a plant scientist. Like I'm a horticulturist. Like
Wait, that's what we were talking about. Because I want to know what you were going to say. You said Monsanto, you were working at in this club at UF.
yeah.
And Monsanto gave a bunch of money to.
No, they didn't. Well,
or-
they just like I was just saying like all these major ag companies like donate lots and lots of money to UF. So like
Got it.
I like later down the road had looked up like that our department had you know X million dollars like donated for his like research program on genetic modification like GMOs and like yeah I don't know I don't know all the details, but
Yeah.
it's a very chemically minded like
Exactly.
stuff. I mean,
It doesn't like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't like, that stuff doesn't excite me though. Like what are they doing? Like,
right. I mean, it's
Like
just
this excites me, by the way. Look at this.
yeah.
Guava.
Yeah, too bad they
Can
can't
I have-
smell it. Yeah, have some, dude.
Do you
yeah,
wanna
I'll
have
a
one?
little piece.
Cheers. Thank you, Kristin Balko guava.
So good. There's
Wow.
nothing like this is why I'm like a farmer is so that I get to eat like the best produce. Like you can't buy. I don't know. I get so frustrated at the grocery store because like half the time I buy things and they taste like crap or they're like going bad. And I mean things that you know it's like weeks or who knows how long before since they picked it to like when we were eating it versus like I picked this today.
Yeah.
Like it's like so fresh.
It was like perfectly tree ripened.
Yeah, this one literally was. We kind of we probably should have harvested a little earlier, but yeah, you know.
So this is a perfect transition because like anyways, whatever. The academics will do what they want to do.
Yeah.
We're in the field, man. I want to like talking about excuse me. I want to talk about what you learned since you've shown up to this property. Like you're feeding the soil, you're feeding the plants. You said you revived all these trees. Like how'd you do it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We can go kind of like step by step of like, as I like discovered more and more and like dive. Like I feel like I literally put myself through an entire like college degree worth of like learning material. Like
Back to college.
like
No,
when
just-
yeah, but better college. Like this is like I also
Yeah.
became very disenchanted with college. I'm like, there's so much information out there. Like you can teach yourself like anything.
Right.
Like you don't.
No, that's why I'm so intrigued. That's why I'm like, we got to get into the meat because like you're doing it. You're doing it. Like what does our soil need?
Yeah.
What is our soil missing?
Well, for one, organic matter would be a huge thing. So when the first thing we did, which most people couldn't afford this, but well, maybe could. This is just a huge, like it's such an extensive property. Thank God they have money. Like I guess that goes hand in hand. But anyway, we put down like 6 inches of compost, like down on the whole thing when I first got there. Because when I got there, like I said, the trees were pretty overgrown. They were like spraying them with whatever pesticides whenever they were having an issue. I think the heart of regenerative ag is like getting to the root of the problem, you know, not just throwing Band-Aids, like different sprays. I mean, they make organic sprays for things, but I'm not interested in treating my plants. I want to know why they're just like my own health. I want to know why is it happening in the first place. So
Instead of treating the symptoms or whatever.
right.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy when you start really diving into plant health, like how similar like plants and humans and like all beings of life like that are alive, we all have such similar like needs. Like and people sometimes I say that and people look at me funny. I'm like, no, it's like true. Like we all need the same minerals, we need the microorganisms, we need fresh air, we need proper rest, we need, you know, to not like like have an insane heat index and like no water. We're kind of, thank God we had some rain today. That was a blessing.
It's been hot.
Yeah, it's been so hot.
My goodness.
And the weather's been weird. We haven't been getting the afternoon rains like we're supposed to, and it's been. I can tell the plants are stressing, and the irrigation water on this property is like very, very hard. So, I want to say, I could be off on this. I think the pH was almost like an 8. Like it was like, or the soil when I first tested it maybe was a pH of 8. That's just like so alkaline. It's like, wow, I can't believe like things are even doing, like there's so many signs of nutritional deficiencies in the leaves, like chlorosis, like the yellowing of the leaves, where like, or just, you know, not healthy growth, like stunted growth. Yeah.
So did it fix? So you said organic matter. Did putting that 6-inch layer on all the trees initially, did it fix it?
That was a start. So that was the first step. And then as I started diving deeper, I got more into soil minerals and like, because I tried to do a soil test. If you send soil to UF, they'll literally tell you, it's like almost like you don't even have to send the sample. They say like, we can't tell you nitrogen from the soil, so we recommend you put down this much nitrogen based on like just what we say, and phosphorus and potassium. It was like almost the same thing. I was the most useless. Like I was like, okay, well that was crap. So eventually I finally found the company I was telling you about, Kinsey Ag. They're based out of Missouri. They've been their followers. I forget his first name, but Kinsey, he was a student of William Albrecht, who is pretty well known in like eco agriculture. Shout out to Acres USA and like that whole their magazine, and they've been doing it since I want to say like the 60s. Like they call themselves like the voice of eco agriculture, and I learned so much just from their material from Advancing Eco Agriculture. They're a different company. They have like so many YouTube videos, so many like hours and hours.
Amazing. What's it called?
Acres is the magazine, and they also run the Eco Ag Conference it's always in December, it seems like. And then
cool. You'll have to send it. I want to check it out.
Yeah. The conference was cool. It's a little far. It's like usually in the Midwest. But they're kind of geared to everybody, but I like they focus in Advancing Eco Agriculture, that company as well. They focus a lot on getting large scale farmers to transition to regenerative agriculture. So, which just a quick note on regenerative versus organic, because before I started this journey, I thought they were like just the same word for the same thing, and I was like, whatever, this is just like another buzzword. And then as I dived in deeper, like the thing I really like about regenerative, it's very non-judgmental. So. And they realize everything is, you know, a progression, and you know, they like there's people who will call themselves regenerative who are still using like chemicals, but they're finding their way towards more ecological methods. Whereas organic, it's like you're either organic or you're not, and that kind of like keeps people out who aren't ready to like go fully in, whereas regenerative can kind of allow people to slowly transition. And I think that's like the only way you can't have I feel like there's not good to have like such a solid out group and in group, like then that creates conflict, you know. Right. So
it's divisive.
Yeah. Right. So
I like that. Yeah. So you're saying instead where regenerative, it's more like progressing towards a more natural system.
Yeah. So that's why it's been hard for people to put like a label on regenerative, because it doesn't have like a solid definition of like what it is.
I mean, how I thought of regenerative was that instead of like sustaining, right? Like instead of like keeping the energy or biomass level, you know, the same, it's like adding more. Right. Over time.
For sure.
That's how I think of it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you're a farmer that's been like fallow fields, like using herbicides and like keeping the soil bare for like, you know, half the year, even just planting a cover crop and then using herbicides to terminate it is still regenerative compared to where you were before.
Exactly.
So it's still not like what I would want to eat, but like at least it's progress. And you know, it just makes people feel less like defensive, like, and I like that philosophy like a lot better than the necessarily like hardcore organic. And I mean, I don't even want to go into
No, totally. We could have a whole podcast
Yeah.
on definitions around it, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous. It's like, hey, are we trying like to grow this naturally or not?
Right.
It's pretty simple. you
Yeah.
know?
So I feel like, regenerative becomes like more of a mindset, and like a full, I guess organic. Yeah. But like I said, like we were saying, the definitions of organic are so like set in stone that it's, it also is, it's again, it like takes the soul out of it in a way. Like you have these big farms, they just have a rule book and they just follow the basic rules and they don't have to really think about it. Like they have their certifying agent just like check the boxes and they just substitute their conventional pesticides for an organic pesticide and like their conventional fertilizer for an organic fertilizer. And like obviously there's many amazing organic farmers out there.
Right.
But
not all is lost with the organic farm.
Yeah, I'm not totally anti-organic.
But what you're saying is, they're just still spraying pesticides.
Right.
Like poisons. They're still doing a lot of those things.
Yeah. It just allows for that mindset to continue without, like, when you are regenerative, you have to really think about like what you've been doing and like how you can make it better, I guess, in a way. Like
instead of checking out with like a checklist.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like so and I just think the community of regenerative growers are just like, I mean, they're just so passionate. Like so
and they're doing more. You're right.
Yeah.
It's like that whole mindset, right? To do more, to give more to the land than when you found it, right? Just like this property.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get back to like the kind of the steps that I've taken to kind of like remediate the soil and regenerate the land there.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Urban Abundance. We help people grow food at home. And if that's something you're interested in doing, or maybe you don't know where to get started, or it's really overwhelming, but you want to grow food, give us a call today. We help you design, install, and maintain your garden. We do fruit trees, we help you with maintenance, and we just really want to make sure you're getting the result you want and you're growing food. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below and get on your garden design phone call today. Let's get back to the video.
I'm still fighting the basically these trees are in like islands, my little like regenerative islands in like this like golf course turf grass that is like definitely the opposite of like being regeneratively managed. So that's like my biggest struggle there. But
there's like grass around these guilds of trees.
Yeah, like so let me just like kind of
grass.
Yeah, let me try and like kind of paint the picture. Like there's these like massive islands. Like at least from most of the trees I try and have at least like 8 feet, and I've like carved out so much more bed space for the trees like out of the turf and like had a lot of like the turf removed like as much as they'll like allow me to because I would.
That's amazing though.
Yeah, so I did the compost was the first thing. That was the easiest thing. I knew that. I was like, I know I need to do compost like because the soil was like so dead and so bare and compacted and herbicided and just like that's how they were controlling the weeds, and it's just like. Oh, it just like hurts my heart just to think about what it used to look like. But it definitely
like bare. All those guilds were bare.
Yeah, completely bare. And just the the chemicals being like just constantly used. Okay, so first came compost. Then I used a lot of different organic amendments like. A mistake I probably made was I put down rock phosphate, which I don't think we really needed. But this was before I figured out the Kinsey Agriculture soil test, which is an amazing soil test. It's like $100.
Got it. You were just going blind and throwing the phosphate.
Right. I wasn't using like a massive amount, but I used I was like going off just. I pretty much did a bunch of research and like made a whole list of like all the good organic amendments that I could use like to apply to the soil. So like seaweed, green sand, or like like kelp meal. What else? Vermicasting, azomite,
broadcasting all of it.
Yeah, just I mixed it all and I just put it, which was like good. But once I did the soil test, they give you back the results and tell you exactly how many pounds of the minerals you need to put out, like they can do it in per 1,000 square feet, or they can do it per acre. So it makes it easier for home scale or like large properties. And then you just like they even tell you the exact form of the mineral that like you need. So like for iron, there's iron that like when you buy it looks like iron pellets, and then there's iron ferrous sulfate heptahydrate, which is like a yellow powder, and that's like an available version of iron versus like, so there's, I mean, once again, we could talk for hours about like the science of soil minerals, and like I mentioned before, William Albrecht, he's like the guru, I think 20s or 40s, he did all these studies about how the minerals in the soil, how they affect nutrition or the health of animals and humans and plants, and super interesting. Like he used the draft the draft records of like the health of the potential soldiers to correlate those states of health with the types of soil in the different parts of the country. So he realized like in the Midwest, which they're relatively dry, those grassland, savanna ecosystems, they had like super high calcium, and the grasslands were like so fertile. I mean, there's like 6 feet deep of like topsoil before we like just pillaged it all away. And
in the breadbasket of America.
Yeah. So all like there was way less rejectees for health reasons in those areas because they had such good healthy food. Because back then, most people were eating local. We didn't have these distribution systems like we do now.
Facts.
So that's not, it's not so much of it. Like most of our food probably comes from California, if not like South America at this point. But then like the Appalachians, which are like super rainy and the soil's like very old and like degraded, those people have like just had like lots of cavities, lots of like other just like health health problems based on the minerals that were missing in their diets. And that started him on a whole lifetime journey of uncovering the secrets of the minerals of the soil. Wow. So
because he started to study different groups of people in different areas.
Yeah, well, he started doing different experiments, fertilizing plots and then feeding those plots to like rabbits or whatever animals, and then seeing how it affected the health of those different rabbits. And it didn't just affect their body, which this blew me away, it actually affected their personality. So that drove me to like feel like a lot of the issues we see with like how angry people are, and just like people, the animals would get much more aggressive and also like antisocial, and just like have these mood disorders based on like the nutrition in their diet. And it's just pretty mind-blowing like stuff.
They're literally just not getting minerals from the soil.
And it's like, so we you can kind of see our humanity's like kind of like degrading a little bit.
Watch humans do that in real time.
Yeah.
Right.
So we all see just I'm sure we all see examples of that in our reality.
Which but you're blowing my mind, like, because like this guy was doing it back before exactly the distribution of what we got going on now, so he could see little demographic, little tests of where we're deficient in certain minerals. It's crazy. But you're saying you add everything that's kind of depleted from your soil through this testing,
right? So
cool.
He discovered that a certain balance of minerals, like certain ratios, needed to be present in the soil for the soil to react properly, which he wasn't aware of soil biology at all. So that's like kind of a key thing that's missing. And
but he said that they needed a relationship, a certain ratio.
Right. So what is it? The cations in the soil. So you've got potassium, calcium, sodium, magnesium, and hydrogen. Those are the positively charged ions in the soil. So like we have a ton of calcium. I mean, we know we're like made of limestone here. Like our water, like I was saying, the well water, like it's a deep well. It's got lots of, like I can see the calcium deposits on the leaves of the trees, like from the stuff from the water spraying on them. So
from the well water.
Yeah, from the well water. So I had to add a bunch of magnesium, and mostly I had to add potassium, which potassium is responsible for many things, but transfer of sugars in the plant. So if you're growing fruit and your fruit aren't sweet, it's most likely a potassium deficiency. So
Good to know.
Yeah. So, but there can be potassium just in like compost. But we have so much rain here. Like we also leach a lot out of our soils. And I mean,
so true.
Yeah. And you can think about
so you think like it goes away quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the organic, especially, so we have the sandy soil and then all that rain, and that's just like a double whammy. So when you build your organic matter, that organic matter acts like a sponge and it holds on to those minerals better. And so that leads me into kind of my next thing after. I forget the order exactly. I mean, everything was kind of happening at once as much as I could like accomplish as quickly as possible.
It was soil remediation time.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going on, but planting cover crops is super important, which for biology, which I'll get into, but for minerals, they just capture those minerals and like make, when they're in a living tissue, their plant available versus when they're in the soil, certain reactions, chemistry in the soil can lock them up, like phosphorus. We have like so much phosphorus in our soil, but it may not be available to the plants because of the form that it's in the soil.
God.
Yeah. So
you like it to be in that system where it's all captured.
Right. Yeah. And the microbiology is what is releasing, they're producing enzymes, whatever it is in the soil to change those, the forms of those minerals so that they can uptake them. Then, I mean, have you heard of the RisoFagy cycle? Oh, dude, I'm going to blow your mind right now. It's amazing. Okay, so...
The what?
The RisoFagy cycle. So root eating is like,
RisoFagy.
Anyway, so Professor James White, I forget what university he's from, but I love to talk about this because it's like the most fascinating thing. So plants are literally farming microbes. So I'm going to get like the details of wrong, but he had a microscope that he got these like amazing videos of literally the root tip will like somehow open up, take in the microbes. The plant will create or secrete chemicals or like put chemicals around these microbes that will strip their cell wall. They'll harvest the minerals from inside, but they won't kill the microbes. And then they'll spit them back out into the soil with what they need to rebuild their cell wall and continue their life. It's like they're like milking them like a cow in a way. So it's just freaking crazy. And
they're farming the
microbes, dude. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
The roots.
When I learned about that, I was like, wow,
that's what we did this whole podcast for, was that moment.
Yeah.
Literally.
Dude,
it's so great. There's so much more going on under there.
There's so much. I mean, I'm still like, I've learned so much in the last 3 years and I still feel like I have so much like deeper to go. And every time I learn more, there's just like, it's just rabbit holes, it just opens more and more doors. Like, and I mean, I got a pile of books like up to my freaking eyeballs like that I need to read. But so yeah, where were we going?
But yeah, no, I just want to capture. I'm gonna watch it back, but like literally add potassium because we need that because it like literally that's how it transfers the sugars in the plant.
Yeah. Okay. So we have way too much calcium. So to balance that out, we need to add the potassium. Super super important. We're so low on potassium. I mean, and every soil is unique, so I do recommend you test. But it's like I think I said it's like $100 for the test, so I know that's kind of cool. That could be out of someone's price range. But you can definitely overdo it with potassium. I mean, you can overdo it with all the minerals. So you just you want to be careful. You want to put that, like, I think
Thank you for saying that. Like, we don't want to just be broadcasting minerals.
Right. We don't, that's what the conventional farmers are doing. They're just putting out like crazy amount of minerals and then poisoning the environment with the runoff from it. So, I think most of my soil tests have called for like 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet, like, and applying that twice, like in a growing season. So that's like a pretty safe thing that you can go off if you haven't like
for granular for like a
so I'll use potassium sulfate. Langbonite is a great natural mined mineral that is magnesium sulfate and potassium sulfate together. Shout out to Tree Amigos, you can go buy that from them. I think they have it cheaper than Amazon, so
amazing.
but you can
Langbonite.
Langbonite. Cool. And then what else? Sulfur. We're really low on sulfur because that's another one that like runs out of the soil pretty easily. So that will help to also acidify the soil, but can also be overdone pretty easily. You don't want to over acidify because the sulfur, and you want to put it down in a granular form, because if you put it down as a powder, it creates it all releases so quickly it like will burn out your microbes. Like it's like, so it creates sulfuric acid like in the soil.
Like volcanic
so
activity.
You don't want to that's it's important to like, that's the health of the microbes, like they're fragile beings. So you put like an extreme, you put like too much salt on something and it's gonna like dry up and get all like nasty and like dead, like so that these things are like salt, like so that's
totally.
Yeah, you just have to be like, anyway, just want to stress, you have to be careful with the minerals as you're putting them down.
And by the way, you take care of hundreds of trees at this property. Huge.
Yeah.
It's a special situation. So this might be reaching out to a grower who has 100 acres with a lot of trees. They could get a lot from this.
Oh, you can get so much. I mean,
yeah, but anyways, I always tell people exactly what you're saying. Less is more.
Yeah.
Right.
And the more I learn, so I'm like continuously trying to fine tune my system, and like the more I learn about the microbial world and like plant energetics, which we can like, that's a whole nother topic. We'll get down the road to that, which I'm still I'm still just scratching the surface. So I'm not the expert by any means.
Plant energetics.
Yeah. I mean, you talk to Shivambi, like, I mean, that's kind of like, electroculture, but it goes even like, there's like radionics for like plants. I mean, biodynamics works a lot with like plant energetics, like KNF, using like homeopathic like dosages. I mean, that goes into like vibration and frequency and that like quantum physics and like, so, but back to
dude, yeah.
back
but
to
by
the more
way,
basic
again,
things.
all that's real, dude.
Dude, it's so real. It's so real.
These pieces of land, it's like buzzing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you can let's just like drive that point home. So on this property, there is a manager who is very, just very negative energy, and thank God he got let go. And all of the horticultural managers on this property, we all agreed that the plants started growing better once he left. Whoa. And it was crazy. I mean,
that's a thing.
Yeah, so
that's a thing.
It could have just been a fluke, but we all noticed it.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I mean, I'm super into now trying to like connect with my plants more as like actual beings, and like being grateful, like saying thank you when you like harvest from them. And I'm a person who's always like lived my life like in a rush, and like a big lesson for me recently has just been trying to slow down and like actually connect with them and anyway, but I do want to like tell you everything so that this is like a good like
I want to know all of it.
Yeah, the things that people can.
I wish we had more time too, man.
I know,
we could
man.
but
I don't know, maybe you have to have me back. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love to. I was gonna just say that.
Yeah. Okay.
But dude, you're great. I mean, honestly, that like do you think we're getting to? I want to hear what you're about to say though too. But do you think like that slowing down, like gardening, like you were attracted to gardening because it gave you that? Like that slowing down and centering.
I think I was attracted to gardening. Well, I definitely feel like connecting with the earth has been like super healing for me. And well, the first thing that brought me into gardening and farming was this like feeling like I am totally dependent on society, and I want, or like the system, I guess, and I want to be independent and be able to like create, like grow my own food and have independence. And I was like very much about independence and doing it on my own, and like now I'm like super into like community, like anyone who wants to have an eco farm, that's cool, like hit me up. We'll figure it out. Like I feel like that's coming like in the future.
You're
days.
so
like,
right. Dude, that's hilarious. It started with like I want to do it myself, and now you're like, hey guys, let's do it together.
Yeah, because it's so like that was like a really ignorant like young thing to think that I can do everything on my own. And like the older I get, I realize like I can't do everything on my own, and if I did, I would like not kill myself, but like I would die from how overworked I would be. Right. Like so you can't do everything, and the deeper I dive into plants, like it's like I can never probably in my human brain fit all the knowledge that like is out there. So there's gotta be team, like some team mentality here where like I'll learn about this, you learn about that, like come together and teach each other. And like that's why I wanted to start that Biological Growers Alliance. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully I like get that going. Like,
Dude,
so,
let me know.
yeah, I'm totally
I'll be there.
all right, I'm putting it on the podcast. Like, I'm like
Yeah.
trying to motivate myself because it's gonna be some work, but I think it'll be totally worth it to bring us all together to
An Organic Growers Alliance. Is that what you're going?
biological growers, because I don't want it to
Biological.
like I said, I don't really like to use the word organic
That's
just
why I
because
was
it's
like-
exclusive. Like,
Yeah, I was just thinking about it from our conversation.
yeah. So
Biological Growers Alliance.
yeah. So, you know, we're allies, man. We're like,
That's right.
we got a lot, a lot of forces against us. But I think when we band together, like, plus those systems are unsustainable in the long run. There's so many farmers switching to regenerative agriculture, literally because they're being forced to by financial need. Like, they just can't afford to buy the fertilizers, and it's either like go broke and go out of business or change. So
Wow.
that's the only solution. But before, I don't know how much time we have left, but I do
Yeah,
want
what else you
to
got?
finish the last
Yeah.
few things for this property. So we've got compost, we've got minerals. Then I did cover cropping. So an important thing that's important to get the like I said, to capture minerals, but also to create diverse biology in the soil. So
Yes.
Dr. Christine Jones, her big talking point is the 5 plant families. So you want to have at least 5 diverse plant families. So that means, for example, a grass, a legume, an aster. What's another one? Oh, I'm like totally blanking. Anyway, five different families of plants, because
Aster, that's what you're saying.
yeah, each different family has a different unique microbiome, and when they all get together, they can actually have like horizontal gene transfer, and the microbes can share information within like their little underground like playground. So if you're just growing a 2 species like cover crop, just a grass and a legume, you're like missing out on like, she's said through her research, she's seen at least 5 to be kind of like the magic number of when she really starts to see. So I've been experimenting in the vegetable garden because I've been having trouble with like some of the just things not growing as well as I wanted to. Like literally planting the cover crop with the vegetables and like growing all of them together, because I felt like, especially when you have.
Does it work?
It's working. It is
Yeah.
working. I don't know if it could work on a large scale because it's like kind of intensive to manage.
It's a lot of management.
Which is like, the more management, usually the better like things are.
Seriously, people don't want to. That's the dude. You
Yeah.
just literally opened like 3 other combos.
Yeah.
But literally, people want to take management out of the equation.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal.
Right. I kind of get annoyed when I hear like people with permaculture like saying like it's like no work gardening, and I'm like, permaculture. I mean, I'm not I try and like integrate all philosophies, so I'm not an expert on permaculture, but I see people like try and just like plant stuff and like forget about it, and it's like, no, dude, you gotta tend to that plant and like also, like I said, connect to it like with your soul. Like, like that's your friend now. Like, if I ever have to leave this property, I'm gonna be like so sad to like leave my tree friends,
Yes.
So okay, so we got soil, we got minerals, we got cover crops, and then something that made a huge difference that may not be practical for like every person is doing foliar spraying. So plants can actually uptake minerals like pretty easily through their leaves. So I do every week. We do, and it takes a lot of time. There's cheap ways, or you can make amendments, like liquid amendments for yourself. Like KNF is like great for that kind of thing. I haven't been able to dive into that yet, and thankfully these people have money, so we buy from Advancing Eco Agriculture. They have pretty high quality products to put in the foliar spray. So I have all the minerals, like organic available forms of the minerals. I have fish, seaweed. I use yucca extract as a spreader sticker. So that's kind of like a surfactant, like a soap almost, that will help it to stick to the leaves. And
The nurseries all use that stuff.
yeah. The EM1, another like microbial inoculant.
Amazing.
Yeah, I throw like the kitchen sink at them, and there's like sap analysis and like tissue testing that you could like really dial in what you need to be putting, but just at the scale and with the amount that they want to spend, and like there's only one of me, like I haven't been able to do like that kind of in-depth testing, because you have to be like sampling your leaves like every week for the sap analysis to like, Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation too. Like I said, it's so many rabbit holes. Like,
but these are all like, our like tools in the tool belt.
Yeah.
And you're saying foliar spray is the other, spraying the leaves.
Yeah. So
with all that goodness, EM1, all that's good.
Yeah, it's like a vitamins like shot for the plant. And I've seen, gosh, I saw such a huge improvement when I started doing that. I mean, because even with putting all these minerals down, the soil is so like broken. It can take some time. Like I said, like I'm putting them down, even though I'm putting them down in a sulfate form, which should be like more available, like there can be things in the soil happening, or the root system of the trees might be like so degraded after being abused for so long that they're just not able to take up these minerals. So when you spray them directly on the leaves, they can just like suck them up through their stomata. I think they can actually like penetrate directly, like I don't know about the cell walls, but the microbes on the leaf can like help bring them into the plant. And potassium in the foliar spray also helps to like open the stomata. So, and you want to do your foliar spray either in the early morning or in the early evening, when you will have the most time with the solution staying liquid on the leaf surface. So once it dries, it can't really like take it up. It has to be liquid for it to be like sucking it up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And by the way, peppers and a lot of other plants, they take in more minerals through their leaves. I think I talked about that on here. And it's night and day. It's like instant, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, and the fruit quality like improved so much. Like people say you need to hand pollinate most of the Annonas. And I have 2 Lisa Adamoyas, and the fruits that I've had on them is just like amazing, and I don't do any hand pollination. So, and I mean the star fruit, like it's so cool, like seeing actually seeing these changes like happening and like knowing like it's really working. And I mean one big thing that we do that's not really mineral, or we just bagging the fruit has been like a huge like thing on our wax jambu and our guavas, because the Caribbean fruit fly would like just destroy the fruit. And I do believe that if I could get them to a point they could be happy and healthy enough to resist them on their own, but we're not there yet. And if I just bag the fruit when the flower first drops, I can keep the fly out and just like harvest these gorgeous wax jambus. Like if you check out my Instagram, you'll see some pictures, and they're delicious. And people tell me wax jambus like that they've eaten are terrible, and these are I've tasted it over time, over the years, like they've gotten sweeter and sweeter like every year. So the foliar spraying and adding the potassium like to the soil has really, really improved the quality of the fruit.
It's that soil quality.
Yeah, it all goes back to the soil. I mean, well, so like the John Kemp from AEA, his big thing is about feeding the plants to feed the soil, because if you don't have the plants there to take up, they're the energy inputters. The microbes aren't producing their own energy. Like there might be some algae like in the soil that can like photosynthesize, but we need plants to take energy from the sun, turn it into sugar, and put it into the soil to feed the microbes. And if something goes wrong in that the system is broken. So that's why you did the foliar spraying, to provide the minerals to kind of jumpstart the plants so that they can photosynthesize, and then they can get the microbes going. And then over time, you should be able to wean off the foliar sprays, because your soil should be like healthy enough to, you just won't need it anymore, because they'll be getting what they need because the microbes are working and doing their job.
Feed the plants to feed the soil.
Yes.
That's cool.
So that's
why the cover crops are so important.
Right.
I love
so
what you were
important.
saying there.
Yeah, you cannot like if people. I don't know why orchards. It's such a thing to have bare soil in orchards, and it like.
Dude, I was just. We can go on all day. By the way, we
Yeah.
gotta wrap.
Yeah.
But dude, what you're saying is so good, because guys, I have clients. I have all these people out there. They want grass. They want one species, one plant family.
Yeah.
And it goes against what kind of these gurus are talking about, these scientists.
It goes against nature.
Yes.
I mean, even in the prairies, like
It's
we
not
think
natural,
of prairies
yeah.
as grass, but there's like the prairies in their natural state had probably like hundreds of different species, so many different little herbs that are all from different families, I mean, even when you buy cover crop mixes, a lot of times, buckwheat is a great cover crop. That's another one. think they're in the same family as beet. It's like Chenopodium. Like I can never remember. Like I'm gonna.
You gotta send me your
it.
cover crop mix.
Yeah.
You put it under the fruit trees. You're saying.
Yeah. Let me do another just like plug for Green Cover Seed because they're amazing, and they have a smart mix calculator, and you put in your growing season, your location, when you want to grow your cover crop. They also have a list of like goals. So like I'll usually do like mycorrhizae, like compaction, breaking, because we have terrible compaction. And compaction is something I've been fighting like so hard on this property. And I struggle with how to get rid of it because we have these mature fruit trees. I can't just go in there and tear up the soil, you know? So I think we're going to literally have to like hand broad fork, and it's going to be so much labor, like, but that's like all I can come up with because
under the trees,
because I'll literally dig into the soil, and the layer that I put the compost, I'll have like nice plant roots. I'll have like root hairs, and you want to see, they call it like Rastafari roots because they look like dreadlocks. The plant exudates will literally make the soil like stick to the roots, which you have to dig it out with a shovel. You can't just rip it out. That'll tear the soil off. But that's a good way to see if you have healthy functioning soils, if you have those Rastafari roots. If you Google it, you'll see pictures.
It's the exudates.
It's the exudates.
Yeah, the root.
But then you get into like the native soil, which is really not native soil because they like did so much like landscaping and earthworks like when they built that place. But yeah, you get into like that sand, and all the roots just turn like white strings, like from, it's crazy. Like the layer like is so obvious, and
wow.
It's because there's no oxygen in the compacted soil. So someone put it really simply for me.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, you kind of like think of the soil like you would like yourself. Like, so it's I guess this is a military thing. It's like the rule of threes. Like, so what's gonna kill you in 3 seconds? Poison. So stop poisoning things. Like, stop putting out poisons. What's gonna kill you in 3 minutes? A lack of oxygen. So
make sure you got oxygen.
Make sure you got oxygen. So that made me realize, like, I was like, why are things not functioning properly? And I'm doing all these things, but I'm stuck at that number, that second level, because I'm not getting enough oxygen into my soil. And I'm planting like daikon radish and things like chicory that have like super good tap roots to like try and also like go into there. But then so yeah, it's no poisons. Make sure you got oxygen. What's gonna kill you in 3 days? No water. So you gotta have good water. What's gonna kill you in 3 weeks? No food. So you gotta have the right food source. What's gonna kill you? I don't know. I can't remember exactly
That's so
how.
Beautiful.
But yeah,
you're saying like the plants similar to us.
Right, they're so similar.
It's
to
so
us.
true, man.
Yeah,
and the soil too.
Yeah.
But we could talk about this.
It's just
forever.
all yeah. No, and we're talking about life. We're talking about like what life is, you know. So it's just like it's the so crazy.
It's the study of life, of creation.
Yeah.
Of this.
100%.
What's going on here?
So.
Kristin, you're awesome.
Yeah, man. It's been super great, like telling you about all this stuff. So I hope this was really helpful for some people out there, because it's been a lot of time like spent learning to like. I mean, yeah. Respect,
yeah, and like no, you laid it all out amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be great. It's like a master class in transforming, you know.
Yeah.
Decrepit landscapes or grassy lawns.
Yeah, so
it's inspiring.
It can be done. I mean, if you saw this property, I mean, and see where it is now, like, and it can happen fast. Like, if it helps that they have the money to throw at it, but that's why I'm like super interested in KNF, because you're making all your own amendments, and it's super cheap, and yeah, it just makes it affordable.
Korean natural farming.
Korean natural farming for those that aren't in the know. And Syntropy. Syntropy is a huge thing. We didn't even talk about Syntropy.
I know. I thought of it when we were talking, but Syntropy, guys, check it out. Yeah, that's enough rabbit hole for people to take. Yeah,
I think I gave people like at least like a year's worth of things to dive into right there.
Which is good. That's the goal of this, right? Lay it all out there.
Yeah. So
Kristin, you're great.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Peace, y'all.
Hey guys, another awesome video. Thank you for watching and all your support. Hey, do me a favor. Click the like and subscribe button down below if you haven't already. It goes a long way. We'll see you in the next one.